So my name is Sanjay. I am your trainer for SAP ABAP. Having more than 20 years of experience in IT and A. Experience in IT industry. So I'd like to share my experience with you. I was working for IBM only. I was working for IBM in Chennai, and we worked for a client called Tagros India Limited. So what does Tagros will do? Tagros is a manufacturing pharmaceutical company. Hello?
Hello?
Is my voice audible to you?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. Just go ahead.
Tagros is a manufacturing pharmaceutical company in Chennai. And they are into this industry since 40 years. And this company has not used any kind of a system to maintain their activities. This company does not or didn't use any maintenance system for running their activities. They used MS Office for their reports and other activities. So since 40 years they were maintaining the activities of the business, they actually found that it is very, very difficult to maintain so many activities of the company only in Excel or in MS Office. Okay? So they wanted to use a system that can help them in running their business activities so that their work becomes faster. So they were looking for a system which can help their business to go faster. Hello?
Yeah.
నేను ఈ కంపెనీకి SAP ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేశామండి యాక్చువల్గా.
Okay.
This was a company where I worked. So when I went into the company, we actually saw that nothing is happening in their company. I was there almost for 6 months implementation.
Okay.
So nothing is happening for them. So what they proposed us is they were looking for a system which can help their business grow faster. Okay.
Okay.
So what these suggestions were to go for an ERP. Now the big question comes, what is this ERP? Okay. Now the ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning. Second question is, how does ERP is going to help my company? Is going to help the company. So ERP is going to help you in automating your business. The next question is how? So let's say when a pharmacy company is there are many activities. So what are the activities? We have to list it out now. What are the activities that we normally have in a pharmaceutical company are this. Because it's a pharmaceutical company, you have a big production system. Production system is a system where a product is manufactured. So from the production we have a warehouse, or rather they have a warehouse. From the warehouse you have a purchasing department. From the purchasing department you have a quality system. From the quality system you have a sales system. This sales system is again connected to a finance system. And finally you have the service. Now they have given us these activities that they normally have in their company. Okay. So what my consultant in our company where I worked had done is, or rather they once we found that okay, these services are to be done for this company, we have to just see that how can we automate these activities into SAP. Okay. Now they've asked us what is the product that you're going to deliver it to us so that we can use for this business. Now we have just suggested for this kind of activities is always better to go for what is called as a SAP. Now SAP is systems, applications and products in data processing. Okay. So when I said that all these applications that you normally have in your company should be automated in SAP, they've asked me how can you do that? So we told that these applications must be mapped to SAP system. Okay. Now who is going to help us in doing this? Okay. So we said that we belong to IBM and we are going to help you in doing the same kind of activities for you through Tagros. So the first thing that we normally have done when we saw these activities were, how can we map this? How can we map the above activities? So we said for each of the activities we have each of the activities mentioned here, mentioned above, are to be mapped to SAP, what are called as modules. So what you call as activities in the business are to be mapped as module in SAP. So what we told is each of these activities must be mapped to SAP. So basing upon the business activities, SAP can be divided into two major activities or two major categories. The first one will be on the functional side, where all these activities must be mapped. So what are the functional side? The functional side are nothing but the business activities or the domain specifications of the company. So now these things are normally referred as the domain level. So for example, we start off with what is called as production. Now this production system in SAP is called as PP module. So we have a production consultant in Tagros company where he comes and says, okay, these are the activities that we perform. We create this product, we create an MRP, we create this routing process, we create this work process and all these things. These things are something that is known very much to the production consultant, and he will tell these requirements to the corresponding module of SAP that is called as PP. He understands, the PP consultant understands how exactly the process of the production system goes in the manufacturing company. So it is called as production planning. So for each of these activities, we have a corresponding person in the company and we have the corresponding consultant in the SAP system too. In the same way, we have what is called as warehouse. For warehouse, we have a separate module called as warehouse management. So we had around 6 to 7 people who were on these activities of the business. So we all made sure that the activities of the company are mapped into SAP side. For purchasing, we have a module called materials management. For quality, we have a module called QM. For the sales side, you have a module called SD, Sales and Distribution. Then for finance, we have a module called FICO. Now all the consultants, the functional people who are actually into domain, express their opinions and express their services to the company saying that, okay, these are the requirements we have, and we are going to map these requirements that you have into the SAP system. Okay. Now the question has arisen, okay, these are the things that we have, but what if I want a new requirement? Let's say a new product is getting manufactured, and that requirement which is there for the new product, that specification is not there in the SAP system. That means I have a requirement which is not existing in the SAP system. I need to make sure that the new requirement is to be created in the SAP system. So the functional consultant has no role in this area. The functional consultant is only the person who maintains the business activities but does not understand how to create a new specification or how to create a new requirement and map it to the SAP system. Now this is where the second part of the category of SAP comes. This is called as the technical side. Now this is where the customization of the SAP system will come into picture. Customization of SAP applications. Now what does customization of applications, SAP applications means? Creating a new requirement that is not existing in the standard. The best example is that I found which is not there in the standard of SAP system is creating an output for a purchase order. When I say creating an output for purchase order means every purchase order will have an output which is to be given by the customer to the client. Okay. Now this output is to be generated by the SAP system, and SAP already has an output for this. But if I want to add a new field, if I want to add a new requirement to this, let's say example is adding a a new logo for the output. Now SAP does not support this kind of a requirement, so we need to have a technical consultant who has to actually do this part. Now this technical consultant is actually called as, so the technical activities of the SAP system is called as ABAP. So ABAP is the programming language used for customization of SAP applications. So that means that if a functional consultant understands the programming part of the business, or understands the programming knowledge of any programming, then he can be in a position to understand the activities and write the code for the requirement. But this is the programming language used for customization of SAP applications. So that means that SAP has only one programming language within the environment, and that is nothing but ABAP. So ABAP stands for Advanced Business Application Programming. So with this language, I can write the program or write the code for the requirements of SAP system only. So ABAP is a programming language used for writing code for SAP applications. So it is a programming language only for writing business applications. Just we got to remember that. Okay? Do you have any questions to ask here so far? Hello? Hello? Right. So first of all, who can actually learn ABAP? Who can learn ABAP? So all the programmers who are familiar with C, C++, and any other programming language, and wanted to have careers in the business side can learn this. Okay? So what are the prerequisites for learning ABAP? The prerequisites for learning ABAP are, the first is C language till structures. So the knowledge of C language till structures is essential for learning ABAP. Next is knowledge of SQL. Knowledge of SQL is mandatory. Why SQL is mandatory? Because we need to understand that SAP is a database. SAP is a database and to manipulate the database system, manipulate the database system, we use SQL. So we use mostly, so when I say it is a structured query language for creating, manipulating, and other activities to be performed with the database of SAP. These two things are essential for learning SAP or for learning ABAP. Next is let's see what are the features of SAP ABAP. What makes ABAP so popular when compared to other activities? Features of ABAP is it is a combination of C and oops. So what does it mean? It means that a programmer in ABAP will write structured programs and as well as object-oriented programs too. So structured programs, when I say it is basically based on C language, and when I say object-oriented programs, it is basically meant based on OOPS. So both programs or both kinds of programs can be written using ABAP. So that's why I say it's a combination of a second generation as well as third generation languages. Second point that I normally like to say is what it is called as event-driven language. When I say event-driven language, it is nothing but an action that is to be performed. What is an action? An action is nothing but a response, like clicking a push button, selecting a value in the drop down, or clicking on a menu bar. All these things are different types of actions that can be performed, and each action that is performed is based on what is called as a response, and the response that is given by the system to the user is called as an event. That's why we say ABAP is an event-driven language. Next we say it completely supports SQL. There's a reason why we say that an SQL knowledge is mandatory for learning SAP ABAP. Well, I normally say it is OpenSQL as well as what is called as native SQL. So in a normal OpenSQL, what you do is you write the statements like select, update, insert, delete, alter, commit, and so on. Alter is not much used in ABAP, but we normally use commit and other statements that I provided here. So when I say open SQL directly, whatever statements that you write will update the database. There is another type of SQL that is called as native SQL. Native SQL requires an interface for updation. So both SQL can be or will be supported by ABAP. So the next is it completely supports Unicode characteristics. So when I say Unicode characteristics, it means that it can be ABAP. Is it able to support multiple platforms or multiple languages? So when I say Unicode characteristics, it means that it supports multiple languages. So these are some of the important features of ABAP. So through ABAP, now these are the prerequisites and these are the features of ABAP that we have. So what is that the course is being designed? Okay, here I provide what is called as the course content that we normally learn in ABAP course. Okay, now ABAP can be broadly classified or can be classified into two categories. The first is the basic ABAP and two is the advanced ABAP. You can't get into advanced ABAP before learning the basic ABAP part. Okay, so the first part is the basic ABAP. So I'll just list out the topics that we have in the basic ABAP course. So in the basic ABAP, the first topic that you have is what is called as ABAP dictionary. ABAP dictionary revolves around how do we work with the database objects. How do we work with the database objects? So what are database objects that we normally have? So database objects that we normally have are tables, views, and others. How can we create sets? In any database that we normally talk about, everything is stored in the database as tables. The tables that we talk about in SAP we normally say it is a relational database. It is not a normal kind of a database where we have flat structures. No, SAP completely supports only relational database management system. That is, each entity is related to each other in the form of a relation. Okay. Now, how do we work with database objects like this? How do we create our own tables? How do we work with manipulating the tables? How do we add our own fields? All these things are part of the first topic of the course in the basic ABAP, that is called as ABAP dictionary. The second topic of the basic ABAP thing is how do we generate reports? The question arises as what are reports? Let's say that a sales manager wants a sales report in the southern region of a product. In the last 3 months. Now, when this kind of a requirement comes, I need to first search that what are all the things that are required for this report. So when I say sales report, I'm actually referring to what is called as, okay, this report must be referring to the sales side of the business. When I say it's working on the sales side of the business, I need to see that what are the tables that we have in the sales side, what is the product table, and I have to also see that how many orders were generated in the last 3 months, because when I say last 3 months, I have to look at the dates also. Now when this kind of requirement comes, an ABAPer has to search for all this. So basing upon the requirements that we have, the reports can be classified into 3 types. What are called as classical reports. The second one is called as interactive reports. And the reports that are based on drill down. These are called as ALV reports. ABAP list viewer. So this report is the most important topic, because everything that you generate as an output is a report. Okay? The third topic is what is called as dialog programming. So dialog programming is a topic which is also called in ABAP as module pool programming. So module pool programming will actually tell me how to create customized screens, or how to create data entry screens for the end user. There's something like creating screens is something like using swings in Java. When I say data entry screens for the end user, it means that the user will come, enter the data, and the corresponding data will be saved in the table. Now, how do we create these customized screens in ABAP is done by using the topic which is called as dialog programming. And the fourth topic that we normally have in ABAP is what is called as, or rather in the basic ABAP part, is what we call as data migration. The best example I would like to give in the company that I worked, mentioned above, these people or this company has data of over 40 years of data. So all the activities that they perform, they used to store the data in the form of an Excel sheet or a simple text file. Now how can I take the data from the text file and move it to SAP database? This is called as data migration. Data migration tells me, or it is also called as batch data conversion. Now this topic will tell me how to send the data from the file. It can be a text file, it can be an Excel file. From the file to SAP database, or rather in our terminology it is called as tables. So this topic will help us in doing that. This is the most important topic when an SAP project is getting started, because when SAP is implemented by the company for the first time, nothing is stored in the tables. Tables are empty. So all the data that you have that is stored by the company, they will take the data from the company's file and slowly move it from the file to the SAP database, and this BDC will help us in doing that. The fifth topic that we normally have in ABAP is what is called as mass printing. Mass printing means printing the outputs. Say, for example, printing the purchase order, printing the invoice, printing the checks in the bank. So these two topics are referred as mass printing. So the corresponding topic that we have in ABAP is called as smart forms. Hello? The smart forms and scripts are the tools used for mass printing. Using these two tools, we actually create the outputs for the transactions that you have in SAP. So these are the 6 topics that you have in the basic ABAP. The next one that comes is what we call as the advanced ABAP codes. So the first part of the advanced ABAP is what is called as OOPS. So all the people who are from Java will actually enjoy this part because, as I mentioned above, that ABAP is a programming language where structured programs can be written and also as well as object-oriented programs. So when I talk about OOPS, I'm talking about what is called as object-oriented programming systems. So here we actually say, so using classes, how are we going to write ABAP programs? All the concepts that you have in Java, like polymorphism, encapsulation, all those things can be a part of the OOPS part. But here we're not going to write programs based upon those what we learned in Java, but rather we're going to write programs based upon the requirements that we have in ABAP. So the next topic in the advanced ABAP codes is what is called as enhancements. So when I say enhancements, the question arises is, can I modify the standard SAP system? Can I change the standard SAP or can I add a new field? All these things can be done by using the topic called enhancements. Now these enhancements can be again classified into 2 types. The first one is called as procedural enhancements. The procedural enhancements are also called as exits. The second one is called as object-oriented enhancements. The object-oriented enhancements are also called as baddies. It is not a way where you like to work only on exits. It doesn't work like that. It's a case where both the things are to be implemented when you're working in a company. So the baddie is based on the object-oriented part. It is called as business add-ins. And the third type of enhancements we have what is called as enhancement framework. So enhancement framework, it is a new paradigm that is added to the enhancements, which works like an MVC, model view. So the fifth topic is called as, so it is an interface. It interface which connects two systems. Now this is nothing but a BAPI. So BAPI is business application programming interface. It is like, how does an SAP system will talk to a Java system? How does an SAP talks to a Java system or any other system? It is called as application linking and enabling, which is a technology where data from the source system to the destination system can be sent. So data can be exchanged across clients or servers. Okay, so these are the 12 topics that we have in ABAP. These are the 12 topics that we have in ABAP. So the basic part and the advanced part. So this is what I have for the demo today. Hello?
Yeah. Yes, Sanjay.
Nalli garu adanti demo.
Yeah. So, yes, I have went through it. Sanjay, అయిపోయిందా మీది?
అయిపోయిందండి, ఇంకేం లేదు. మీరు రికార్డ్ చేస్తారా దీన్ని?
రికార్డ్ చేస్తున్నామండి.
ప్లీజ్ నాకు కాపీ పంపిస్తారా? అందుకే నేను సేవ్ చేసుకోలేదు.
పంపిస్తాను.
ఓకే, మీకు
ఓకేనా?
ఒకవేళ ఓకే అనుకుంటే మీకు ఎలా అనిపించిందండి?
బాగుందండి, బాగుంది, డెమో బాగుంది. అయితే మా మేనేజ్మెంట్ కూడా ఒకసారి చూస్తుందండి, రికార్డ్ చేశాను కదా, మా మేనేజ్మెంట్ కూడా చూస్తారు. సో చూసిన
ప్లీజ్ అండి.
తర్వాత షూర్, నేను రేపు మీకు కాల్ చేస్తానండి.
ఫైన్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ అండి.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
థ్యాంక్స్.
బాయ్. బాయ్.